Stop and think is everyone's responsibility. When you stop and think, it ensures the safety of you and those around you. Taking time to stop and think before you perform a task helps you to understand what's about to happen and empowers you to make safe decisions.
Hello, welcome to our latest video on Stop and Think. Stop and think is really important whether you're out here on track, in the Network Control Centre or even in the office. Every time we do a task, we should be pausing to stop and think. And as we're completing that task, if you're not 100% sure of what you're doing, it's time to pause and stop and think again.
Today I'm at the 444 kilometre near Frampton in regional New South Wales. Behind me is a location where we had a recent serious incident that potentially could have resulted in several fatalities. Now, whilst this incident is under investigation, we need to respect that process. However, what is clear is that we had workers on site in the danger zone undertaking work, and they were inappropriately protected. The protection was in place at a different location.
So I was attending a leadership training course in Sydney. I got the call which I couldn't take, and I listened to the voice recording as first opportunity. So I went outside the room, made the call to the contractor, and he was very, very shaken. And I knew that something major had happened. He said, "Look, we've just been cleaned up." And I said, "What do you mean cleaned up?" And he said, "Well, our scaffold has been hit by a train." I said, "Mate, is everyone okay?" He said, "Yes." And I could tell he was really, really shaken. I said, "Mate, is everyone okay?" He said, "Yep." And I said, "What happened?" And he said, "Well, we had a TOA for the down main." And as soon as I heard that, I knew there was some real issues here on site. The bridge is located on the up main. They did have a TOA, which was for the down main, which is about 500 metres across the road. And they were just on the wrong track, in the wrong time, in the wrong place. And they heard the train coming. They looked in the direction they thought it was coming from, realised it wasn't coming from the Cooter end, and they looked the other way, and there was the train bearing down on their scaffold with the guys working on it. It's a different site. It's a grade separation. The down main runs straight through, and the up main veers off to encounter the grade. So there is a separation between the tracks. Local knowledge and a site visit would have eliminated any risk or any potential risk of this occurring.
Importantly, when you're going on site, ARTC has a mechanism to ensure your safety through worksite protection plans. In order to make sure that you know where you are, there may be visual or electronic aids that you use, such as the Kilometre to Me app or network information booklets. It is vitally important that when we're using these booklets and aids, that they are the up-to-date versions and that they're accurately reflecting where we are on site. And in particular, when we communicate with network control, we need to be consistent in our location and how we advise network control about what we're doing and where we're located.
The biggest takeaway from me would be situational awareness. Take the guys out, show them where they have to be, explain to them the safety requirements of these special locations, and just make sure that they're across it, because you know I was stuck in Sydney and potentially I could have lost two lives on my corridor.
In order to prevent a train to track worker collision, ARTC has a number of mechanisms in place. One of the last mechanisms in place to prevent that from occurring is the provision of detonators either side of the worksite. By placing detonators either side, you potentially could be giving yourselves an additional couple of seconds in the unlikely event that a train enters into your worksite, giving you enough time to react to that. Personally,
I've learned that contractor management is an essential part of our everyday business. We need to make sure that these guys are across their locations, they're across their roles and jobs and tasks. And a bridge inspection sounds like a simple process, but if you get one of those wrong, the results occurred here, and we could have lost some life on my patch. Now,
ARTC has many mechanisms in place to protect its workers. One of those is the stop and think process. Whilst it is important to stop and think, it is equally important to act and review. If at any time you are unclear, unsure or uncomfortable about what is being proposed as far as a safe working methodology or the work you're about to undertake, you need to make sure that you act and review and stop and think and understand exactly the type of work you're doing and the protection that you need and have in place to protect yourself when you're doing that work.
The real message is to make sure that these guys understand where they are and what potential risks they face just coming into the corridor. And if you haven't been contacted and you get a call that says, look, we're just in your area doing weed slashing, that's not good enough. That's too late. We need to get onto it before. We need to have plans in place to make sure that these guys know their area, know the safety requirements, and have ticked all the boxes, because otherwise we're heavily exposed.
Just ask yourself 3 questions. What am I about to do? What can go wrong? And what can I do about it?
Remember to stop and think, make good decisions and stay safe. Thanks for watching.